and an interesting debate about PRS, the Performing Rights Society, who say they're going to take court action against Soundcloud because they say that they should be paying artists royalties for the tunes that are uploaded to SoundCloud. So we'll hear from an artist who uses SoundCloud before the 11:30 news, and also from a music copyright lawyer. Before all of that, though, let's turn our attention to the world of 24 minutes past 11. One of the major music copyright monitors has announced it's going to pursue SoundCloud through the courts for unpaid royalties. PRS, the Performing Rights Society, which represents about 100,000 songwriters, composers and music publishers, said it had no alternative but to sue the music sharing site for copyright infringement since they refused to agree to a licensing deal. But up-and-coming acts often use SoundCloud to generate interest in tracks before then selling them elsewhere online, as you can't purchase songs directly from SoundCloud. One act which uses the site regularly is Jaldaboath, and James Fogarty from the band joins me. Hi, James.
Hi.
As does Phil James, who is partner in the technology group at law firm Sheridan's. Phil, evening to you.
Good evening, hi.
James, let's have a listen to your style of music, which I'm reliably informed is Crusader metal. Is that the right term?
Yes. That's about right, yeah.
Okay, let's have a listen.
Warrior monks are on their way. No absolution, they're gonna make you pay.
So, obviously, it's fair to call that not mainstream. Is that why SoundCloud is of such particular use to you as an artist?
SoundCloud has use. I use it. I don't know how actually useful it is. I would say that YouTube is a far more useful website. I use it to listen to music all the time, to find new artists. I don't actually find SoundCloud very good in terms of being a listener. In terms of being someone who wants to share my music, it's much easier to share music on SoundCloud for Facebook.
Yeah, because you get an embedded link, don't you? So once you've put it up there, you can copy that link, put it on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you want to put it.
Yeah.
So tell me this, as an artist, do you feel that by it's allowing you to share your music, so you're gaining a greater following, or do you feel that you should be paid for the music and the number of plays it gets on there?
I don't think. I'm not even sure if SoundCloud even make any money. I mean, I'm just looking at their figures. I mean, they get 170 million listeners per month, whereas YouTube gets almost 1 billion on a weekend day. So, I think we're looking at the wrong person here. We're picking on kind of a relatively small company that has less than 200 employees, when we should be looking at YouTube if you really want to start getting money from music plays.
And in fairness to PRS, they've just done a deal with Spotify, for example, which covers Europe. So they are looking to do deals with these people. Phil James, partner in technology group at law firm Sheridan's. What does the law say about this? With a site like YouTube that doesn't sell music, but just distributes it? Sorry, SoundCloud.
Well, I mean, actually, when you mention YouTube, I mean, it's almost a Freudian slip that you've mentioned it as well, because if you recall, YouTube had exactly the same problems that SoundCloud are having now as regards its licensing, and they had a very similar dispute with PRS for music. Obviously, the distinction between the two companies clearly are that YouTube is owned by Google, who has fairly deep pockets, whereas SoundCloud, although it's relatively well funded, it hasn't got the sort of revenue at hand the likes of Google. And some of the license fees, especially the advance payments that the PRS Music Collection Societies are after, are significant, and they sort of ask for guarantees, for instance. And if you are an innovative technology company, whilst of course I'm sure you want to pay your dues, at the same time that has to be balanced against an element of risk and a new business model, which obviously this is still a relatively new area in terms of trying out new monetization techniques, and I think SoundCloud has had some difficulty in monetizing its proposition, as Nick referred to.
Yes, because that's not what it's there for, really, is it? It doesn't charge you. You can get a login for free. You can upload your music for free to a certain amount. They have a premiere feature, but that's all about the amount of uploading you're trying to do and increasing that. Are they actually breaking the law, Phil?
Well, I wouldn't say they're breaking the law. I think it's definitely a contentious area because, as you may be aware, there's sort of safe harbor provisions that are available under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act in the US and also under the e-commerce regulations in the UK and similar legislation in Europe, which essentially says if you've got a platform and you are courting users to create user-generated content or UGC on the platform, so long as you're not aware of any infringement, you're not liable for it. But once you've been made aware of it, you should take it down. And actually, when you mentioned,
but if artists are uploading their own work, there's no copyright being infringed, is there?
Well, no, absolutely right. But there's obviously a variety of different people uploading stuff. Some obviously artists are uploading stuff that is their own. Some are probably uploading a mixture, which is part theirs, part someone else's, and others who are just uploading all sorts of things that belong to a variety of different people and probably is infringing. When you mentioned that there aren't any revenue sharing opportunities, last year they did launch on SoundCloud, which is a sort of ad revenue proposition, and they use a sort of algorithm there, which if you're a rights holder and it identifies your copyright work, you then are sort of given three choices. Either you can mute it, block it, or monetize it with ads. So they have been working hard to create monetization opportunities, and I think Warner and Merlin have actually signed deals that actually labels with the platform.
Right. Interesting. We'll watch this with interest then. Phil, thank you. Phil James, partner in technology group at Sheridan's, and James Fogarty, an artist, speaking to us about PRS pursuing SoundCloud through the courts for unpaid royalties.